away we go. All right, everybody. And here comes more people. Excellent. Hey, Laura. And I think that must be Dante connecting. All right, so I'm going to get this show on the road here so Dante can have as much time as he needs. One thing, I have a super awesome announcement really quickly, is that I just found out that, well, December 12th, it will become official that the communities in the northern part of the county, Vanceboro, Lambert Lake, Waite, Talmadge, and Topsfield, and Kossuth will all be getting fiber connectivity, which is a far cry from the good speeds of 6 over 0.49. And yay! So that is super cool. The other quick announcement that I had to make was, you know, we worked so hard on our Washington County Digital Equity Plan, and we're getting ready to put it in, some of it or a lot of it, into action. But I did want to make note that the city of Eastport has formed a digital equity committee, so they plan on creating a digital equity plan for the residents in Eastport. So that's pretty exciting business. Now, Dante, I told you it wasn't going to take long, those little announcements. So Dante, why don't you go ahead and take it away? I think everybody knows who you are, but if not, why don't we all go around the room? Christopher, why don't we all just go around and introduce ourselves for Dante, because he may not know all of us.
Hi, I'm Christopher, Director of the Greater East Grand Economic Council. Been on the job less than 3 months, working in the area between Danforth up into southern Aroostook, servicing 12 communities in that region.
And Jenny?
Jenny Jones, I'm with the Maine Seacoast Mission. I'm the Down East Director. It's nice to, I think, see you on video for the first time, Dante, through all of our communications, but thanks for being here.
Awesome. Sarah?
Hi, Dante. Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah Strickland. I have a bunch of different hats on. For this, I'm connected to Christopher for the Greater East Grand Region Project, and I just got an email from Sarah Davis from Consolidated, Chris, that the actual contract between MCA and Consolidated was signed last Friday. So that is good news. I still haven't seen the maps that justified the contract. So we'll see what they all agreed to.
Cool.
So anyways,
right.
that's good. That step is done.
That's awesome. Laura?
I know, Dante. It's great to see you. I hope all is well. Everybody had an enjoyable snow day yesterday. But it's good to see everyone.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. And Tracy?
Hello. Hi, Dante. I'm Tracy Carlson, Director of Communications with Healthy Acadia, and we work across Washington and Hancock counties.
You and Marcy? Oh.
Hello, Dante. Pleased to meet you. My name is Marcy. Forgive the video dark today. I am an instructor, a digital navigator, and the ACP outreach manager for the National Digital Equity Center.
Awesome. Thanks, Marcy. All right, Dante, now take it away.
Okay. Yes, I do know most all of you. So I'm Dante Zanoni. Hello, I work for the Communicating Collaborative, which you all know about. And I am program manager of the Connection Initiative, which is why I'm here. How long do you want me to talk, Elaine? How long do I have? So I know.
So you can, so it was some of the coalition members at our last meeting asked if you would be able to attend to discuss the Connection Initiative, how that works, and whether or not it's something that might be able to be used with our free device program or digital skills classes or anything of the sort. So maybe an overview of what the initiative is and how it works.
Okay, I can do that. Yes, that I did meet with Elaine, last week or the week before. Again, I'm program manager of the Connection Initiative, and Elaine and I talked about, we just want to anything the Connection Initiative can do to help leverage these community members across Washington County receive some of these services and get some of these devices for the grant money that was awarded that Elaine told me about. Anything we can do to help, we're more than happy to. So I'll just very quickly talk about, or just show you a PowerPoint real quick on kind of how the Connection Initiative works. Again, I think most of you here, or at least half of you, know how it works, but I'll briefly go over that. And then if anyone here can think of any way that we can help, our arms are out, and we'll help. We leverage us, whoever you think is necessary, if you think it's a good fit. So let me just, I don't know if I can share the screen on here, if I have permission, and I do. Okay, so let me just share this screen right here and talk real quickly about the view slideshow, about the Connection Initiative. Again, I work for the CCC, and I manage this program. So I am the one that wears basically all the hats for the Connection Initiative, with helping to build it, helping with the tech, building out the website, working on the platform that we use, fielding all the requests, making all the connections, and it just keeps going and going. So it's a work in progress. We've been live now, I think, for almost 2 years in a growing sort of way. The website's not complete yet, although we do have a landing page where anyone can go and make a request, and you'll get that here at the end. And our sole purpose in this first tier of this multi-tiered program is connecting people at the root level to resources in our county, in Washington County, connecting people, to organizations, to resource partners, to get hopefully the resources they need and the connections they need. So it's all about connecting. So just think of connection when I go through this for the Connection Initiative. So everybody knows about the CCC. I don't have to present on the CCC, I don't think, but if you're like, what's the CCC? Someone just say something and I'll briefly cover what the CCC is. But the Connection Initiative, we branded ourselves. We started from a vision day way back in 2015 that the Community Caring Collaborative had on what people want in our county, what's needed, and a vision of the former title Mentor Neighbor came up about, helping people, getting people connected. Simultaneously, we started building out the Connection Initiative. Mentor Neighbor at the time in 2015 started writing. Liz Neptune, one of our consultants, helped to write, the program itself, what it means. Again, multi-tiered. And then in 2019-ish, we were kind of ready to leap forward at about the time the pandemic hit. A group in Washington County, there was a group that started in Washington County at that time. Geez, I can't remember the name of the group. Anyway, that group was all about what kind of our mission and our social value is here on the screen when we branded ourselves, connecting people that were shut-ins during the pandemic to resources, getting resources to them, et cetera, et cetera. They would meet every Wednesday at 3 o'clock. So what Mentor Neighbor, or TCI, did at that time is got together with the Washington County group and said, hey, we've got shared visions here, shared ideas. Let's just make this one big group. And I was hired about the same time. So then I started taking over those meetings, and those meetings still take place every Wednesday at 3 o'clock, 4 years later. And it's just, we call them the Resource Partner Group. So every Wednesday at 3 o'clock we meet, and it's all the resource partners that are part of the Connection Initiative, whether it's a case manager, a middle manager, a frontline worker, anyone that's involved in getting people connected, come to this meeting. We share resources, we share ideas. Sometimes if there's a presenter in there that wants to talk about a program within their agency, they'll come in, and we get together and get the latest of the latest as far as resources go, to make TCI work better and get people more effectively connected. So that's how it kind of came about. And we developed a mission, making lives better through connecting our neighbors in Washington County community resources. Then our social value, our people's why is, what are you guys going to do? And we want to respond to Washington County's neighbors' needs with care, connections, and options. That's our whole point. This is about connecting, you know, compassionately, I guess you could say. These are just some stats as part of this PowerPoint for different presentations that I've done that we included in here about poverty and our poverty problems in Washington County, unemployment rate, how many, you know, people are below poverty, how many disabled are below, et cetera. And it's a problem. It's a big problem. This figure right down here, 54% of female-headed households, and this is all from stats from 2019, all female-headed households that have a child that's under 5, 54% are in poverty. So it's, you know, these statistics are just to say that we have a population level problem in our county with poverty, with substance use. These are just some striking stats to say, you know, what's going on. Again, these are from 2019, 20 overdose deaths, 37 substance exposed infant births, and then 58% of people that of state custody removals were related to substance abuse. So all children that were removed and taken into state custody, 58% of all those are related to substance use. So these are population level problems. And what TCI, our whole goal and our whole mission is, we want to reduce some of these population level issues at a program level. How do we do that? Well, we efficiently try to connect people more to these programs and program level through agencies that can help, hopefully in some way, to reduce the population level problem. So how do we do that? You know, how does TCI work? It's where I like to say it's where technology meets humanity. We use a pretty tech savvy platform called Zendesk. So that's the engine literally behind how can you efficiently, or how do you connect people? How do you do this? You know, we have 211, which is great. I mean, they're a resource partner. You have Find Help that Northern Light uses now as part of their discharge planning. And the premise is the same, in that if someone's looking for something, they can go to 211, they can call 211 and try to get the resource. Where we are different, and this is just it's kind of apples and oranges. We do the same in trying to get resources to people, but it's more personal. It's Washington County only right now, and it's not just giving someone a URL or an agency name. It's trying to connect someone to someone at that agency level, and then following through to make sure that connection was made. So we use Zendesk. What Zendesk allows us to do, it allows anyone to text us, email us, Facebook us, call us, go on our website. No matter how many channels somebody uses, and there are many available, it all comes into this Zendesk platform. And then Zendesk allows us to seamlessly communicate with resource partners, and it allows that request to come in as what Zendesk calls a ticket. So that request comes in regardless of the channel. It's all in one area for the main person, the moderator, which right now is me, to see. So if you call me, it's on the platform. If you text me, it's on the platform. If you use our Facebook, it's on the platform. No matter how you do it, it all comes into the platform. And then what we do on the platform is, that's where all the magic happens. And if there are resources, if there are connections, we have resource partners stored in that platform where we make those connections. So resource partners, if may ask, wondering what it is, and I keep saying that, I should have explained it before. It's just basically organizational employees, and organizations are also resource partners. So right now in the platform, we are almost have our resource partner agreements complete, which is our, not contract, but our agreement with organizations that key contacts within your organization are going to be that resource partner that can be in the platform with me and brainstorm on how we can most effectively connect somebody and then make that connection. So resource partners are agencies, and they're agency employees. So this is how it all works. Just real quickly, this is the quickest design that we could come up with to show you. So every ticket comes in, a request comes in, someone over 65, I'll use with this platform for what we're talking about here, has a technology barrier. They're trying to reach a dentist. They're trying to make an appointment with their PCP. They're trying to find out what home health agencies are listed in Washington County. They don't know how to do it, but they've been taught that, you know, I have some technology experience, but I have nothing to work on. So how can I attain a laptop, or a community health worker or a case manager is looking for that technology barrier connection for someone they're working with. They get a hold of us. I field that request, whether it's, again, what Zendesk calls omni channels. So regardless of what channel they use, whether they text or call or go on our website or Facebook, it all comes in as a ticket, a request. And then what I would do is I'll use you, Elaine, as the resource partner. If a case manager reached out, there's a technology barrier with someone with a disability or over 65, they need, you know, a connection and some help to try to break that barrier. What I would do in that platform, I would have Elaine available to me, whether it's via email or phone call, whichever way we communicate. I will reach out to Elaine as a resource partner in the platform, and then I connect Elaine with that case manager so they get connected. And I say, you know, a lot of times when I talk to some of these people, I'll use Beth C. Wright, for example. Angela is always happy to call somebody. So that person's like, please, can they connect with us? So I get a hold of Angela on the platform. I make that connection. So the resource partner and the customer are connected. And then what we do is we follow through. That's the key ingredient here is we follow through a week or two later. We have all these automations and triggers in place. So after that connection's made, about a week or two later, I'll reach back out to the caseworker or the person. Hey, how'd it go? How was the connection? It was great. I got my laptop or my tablet and everything's great. Thank you so much. Or nope, I haven't heard from Elaine. No one's called back. I don't know what to do. And it just allows us to reloop back into the ticket again, because it never really leaves that request. So we reestablish a connection, and we find out what's the gap, what happened, you know, why isn't there a connection? And then we try to fix those gaps. So that's how it works. If I were to reach out to a resource partner, if I just know where to bring them, I'll connect them to an agency. They'll connect. If I need more than one person involved, it's kind of like a phone a friend, +1, +2, +3. In the platform, we can all collaborate together. So the digital equity team, if there's 3 or 4 people, for example, and we all need to brainstorm together in the platform, we could even Zoom is even integrated in Zendesk now, so you can have a quick little face-to-face in the platform, find out what you know, best avenue to take to get that person connected, and they get connected. So no matter how you do it, whether it's direct, resource partners, a side conversation, need some information, or a group collaborating together, we always try to make a connection and then we follow through. So that's quickly how it works. Don't need to worry about that. We talked about resource partners, lots of good impact for agencies, and our website, when fully developed, we're gonna, you know, advertise agencies on our website. We have a resource partner page that lists all the resource partners, their logo, the agency, you know, what they do, a link to their program. So if someone's like, I just want to look and get connected myself, they'll have the option to do that. So that's what we're doing right now. We're building out these relationships that we hoped to build out a year ago. And I talked to a lot of the health centers in Ellen, part of the Sunrise Coalition. I spoke with you guys well over a year ago, and the learning curve to build this was just way more than we anticipated. And we're still building, and, you know, apologies in that regard. And I told Ellen, but we're getting there. We're ready for that next phase to really see how Zendesk can work by getting our resource partners actually in the platform. So our long-term impact, you know, seamless connections, hopefully to reduce those feelings of helplessness for community members. We're going to be able to analyze what's working, what's not working. Zendesk is great at performance measures. So we are working as we speak to build out really clear, critical data and analytics as to what's working in Washington County, what's not working, what are people reaching out for. We're phasing in the social determinants of health as part of our whole kind of form set of like, what can we help you with today? We want to use those social determinants of health as to what's going on in our county with what people are reaching out for, from home repair to heating assistance, domestic violence, cancer support. We're putting those under those social determinants umbrellas to really collect the real data as to what's going on in our county. And then our future, right now, it's resources. It's all about resources in tier 1, but tier 2 and 3 really starts getting into volunteers at a local level. So just imagine that platform having all these volunteers that people already want to volunteer, where they're stored according to their specialty. So if somebody needs something that we just don't have the resource for, or the finances are just not there like they are now with help that people need, there are volunteers that are ready to fix a sink or ready to, build that ramp that the funding is just not there for. So tier 2 is all about building out that volunteer base and making those handoffs, those seamless connections with volunteers, and so on, mentors, life coaches. So that's it. And that's the website. It's connectioninitiative.org. Right now, again, it's just a landing page, but you can still go in and make a request. And then that's our phone number that can either be called or texted, or you can email us. And of course, we have a Facebook page. So if you just search us on Facebook, you can actually message a request. So that's how it works. And however we can be available, and for this, when Elaine and I talked about it, or if the Connection Initiative was the place that if people had questions on these programs that you have with some of the free tablets or what have you, they can always just reach out to TCI, and then we can send them where they appropriately need to go if people are confused for some of these programs you guys are talking about, or however. So that's it.
Well, thank you very much, Dante. I think that first of all, does anybody have any questions for Dante?
Yeah, that was absolutely fascinating. I'm curious though, how are you reaching it seems like to reach people, they're already connected with an agency or somehow already part of the system. Do you have a way to reach people that outliers, like a lot of our older adults, who are isolated? How are people finding out about you, and how effective is your social media in that respect?
That's a great question, Marcy, and that's something that we're actively working on. In fact, that's kind of where most of my professional career is, with older people. And so I've been pushing to, how do we reach older people that, don't have a means to go on the website? How do we let them know? And we're relying on right now, because we haven't fully advertised, I guess you could say. So we're relying on, our local municipalities, our churches, that niche in that local community, whoever maybe we want to reach out to them to notify those people that may be more sheltered, and it's a work in progress, but it's a group that I so very much want to know that we exist. And some of them have reached out. A lot of them that are isolated called. I've had the age demographic is increasing in regards to those that are 65 and older, or 55 and older. I've had a few ladies that have called up in Green Lake Stream, they're in their 80s, looking for help, and which has been great, and just to establish that relationship with them, and then work with resource partners outside of the norm of what's available to try to get them resources. So we're working on it.
That's really awesome. But I'm always curious about that aspect of it, because I have found that when you build it, they don't always come, so it's just, something I'm always curious about, how you're reaching, the outliers, which I live in Washington County. I'm very familiar with so many of these issues, and especially with a lot of our older adults. But anyway, this is absolutely fascinating. I know I'll be talking about it. So thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you, Marcy.
Just
Sarah.
to piggyback on that with Marcy, I think a lot of those referrals also come from people like me at our agencies where we are committed to leaning into that partner in our county. So the mission is actually stepping back from doing our own resource navigation and have opted to lean into the Connection Initiative instead of being repetitive in that space. And so when we have patrons from the pantry who are older that are also looking for resources, or when we're getting phone calls for resources, we are actually filtering them to the Connection Initiative and say, you know what, this agency does that connection work for you. They'll connect you with the right person or the right resource or the right agency. So, you know, please call this number or send an email here and they will get you hooked up. And we're kind of stepping out of that zone to also not duplicate those services and duplicate the work.
Right. That
Yes,
is, yeah, I love that. And it makes it more of a community endeavor as well. And then, you know, you're going to start getting word of mouth, and nothing is better than that. So, yeah.
yeah,
Sarah, you
Jennifer, I
wanted-
have some great analytics coming your way too, boy. Because, you know, part of what we ask for and part of the forms, which is, you know, what do you need help with? You know, one of the key fields is who referred you. So there are a ton of MSM referrals over the past 60 days. So, you know, the beauty of Zendesk, I like to say, is that we can generate a great little report and then send a little report over to Jen and say, hey, look, these are how many people in your community, you know, have reached out. And it just gives the mission an idea of how many people really go to that local food pantry or that local agency for help that they need, those people that are otherwise outliers. It's amazing. I can't wait for that report, Jen, because I am just blown away on how many people rely on you guys.
That's
Pretty amazing.
fantastic.
So,
All right, Sarah, you've been, yep. You're muted.
Dante, are there any resource areas or demographic areas that you are currently not helping with? So are the social determinants of health really the framework for right now, which is huge? I mean, you know, that's big, but are there any areas that you're not ready for yet? You know,
in regards to making connections or just not knowing.
Sorry for the phone call, that with regard to resource partners or being able to help a certain demographic.
Yeah, it would be right now or youth. Youth and we're building on older adults right now. In fact, so right now, in regards to resource partners and having the appropriate resource partners available, through nobody's fault of their own, of course, it would be youth.
Okay,
Youth
that's
issues
helpful.
and- Yep.
That's
that would
helpful to
be-
know.
Yeah. And we're working on
so-
it. He's been helping, but we're just not there yet in far as
Yeah.
just
So the other thing I want to say, you know, bravo and hats off on your slide branding. I mean, from the last time I intersected with you from an information standpoint, it's come so far and it's really easy to understand and the branding looks great. And is there a like 8.5 by 11 poster that I can put in my post office? Is there that kind of thing yet where we can tack up and, it can be a permanent fixture in the post office in Robbinston and Danforth and Weston and every other community in the greater East Grand region? That's one thing that would be great to have for folks like me.
I can give you some rack cards, Sarah, the next time I see you, because I think the rack cards will be the best. They're very strong and laminated and has all the information you need.
Okay, great. And then, there was one of the questions. Or is it if somebody calls and they say, oh, I happen to live in Weston, which is in Aroostook County, do you have to refer them to somebody else or can you help them?
Typically, I might call somebody from ACAP if it's
Okay.
not a cross-border thing we can do. But in Hancock County, I know we've, with the mission with Jennifer, people have been reaching out to us from Hancock County. And they
Yeah,
just,
well, I think what's going to happen is if we pump you up in Danforth, you're going to start getting calls from the rim towns that make up the Greater East Grand region. And so it would be helpful to have a next conversation maybe with Chris about what you want to do about that, because it will happen. So you
Yeah.
guys can talk through that, but we don't want to get you in trouble. We don't want to push it.
No, we
and then
formulate a
have,
plan. I mean, we have Katie from DCP who has been helpful in trying to make those outside connections that the mission otherwise has in the past. So if someone does call me, we refer them, if we can't help, to Katie from DCP, and what she does is she tries to pick up the slack in Hancock County. So I think it would just be come up with a plan on who are these contacts, who can I have in the platform where if it does go up, outside those lines, but we just don't have the information, we can reach out to them or make that connection to them, to that person.
Christopher, did you want to jump in? You had your hand up and I wasn't sure. You're muted.
Sorry. Thank you, Dante, for that wonderful presentation. And thanks for your work. So yeah, I want to follow up with Sarah about that. So the region that I represent, is in these three counties. And I'm absolutely convinced that we have to have printed material. There are very, very few places where people go. So for example, why would you go to a town office up here? There's really only one reason, maybe to get a dog license or maybe to register your vehicle. Well, you can imagine in these little town offices how much stuff is cluttering the board or the counter. And essentially nothing is visible. So unless, in my opinion, you have a brochure or a flyer, or like Sarah says, an 8.5, 11 piece of paper that really stands out, or something that I can hand to people, I think that's going to be your key to success. I can guarantee you that very, very few people in this region are sitting at their computers doing anything. Okay. So my counsel is you've got to get something in print that is distributed massively. And Sarah's absolutely right. People get very, very annoyed up here, very upset, because they don't care about these county boundaries. They live 5 feet from one, and they get very peeved when services are not rendered to them. So in your brochure or flyer, it's really important to refer people, in Aroostook. So it needs to be like a one-stop shop flyer that really helps people out. That's my counsel.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for what you're doing.
I know. Thank you, Dante, very, very much for attending. And thank you to coalition partners who said, get Dante here. So I think that probably, Dante, like when you and I spoke before, just anybody who might be looking for tech devices, even if they're looking for, Marcy, I'm assuming that maybe this is something that Dante, that maybe you'll bring back to NDEC for a discussion about, digital literacy and devices and.
Absolutely. We have a device program in Washington County, and digital skills classes, digital skills plans. So yeah, Dante, would you mind sharing your email in the chat?
Yes, sorry, I should have done that already. I can do that.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes it's just not in an empathic sense, but when people are reaching out, you get that sense, well, maybe they might benefit from what we just talked about. So to have a contact within NDEC or this group where I can just real quickly say, hey, this person, and there would be great. And
Yeah.
It would be
that
great.
just makes that much more efficient.
Yeah, and to get some tech stuff on there, that would be awesome. So like, like NDEs, as Marcy is referring to, that currently they have some devices for specific populations. Then our coalition is getting, some devices for a wider swath of populations, but still it's out there. And so any way that we can get the word out would be awesome. Thank you, Dante.
Great. You're welcome. I can do that. And I love ACAP, by the way, as far as how ACAP, but I get their emails every week because I just something that I do. I like to get a lot of newsletters because it's really what's going on. And ACAP just seems to really have it going on as far as just being out there and advertising, and they seem to be a group that's well put together, from at least through their emails and newsletters, and really showcasing their employees, and just seems like a good family. So, we try to help out, and over those county lines, like you were talking about, Chris. Our index rack card, which is what's best to have to hand to somebody, because it really is very colorful, it's very durable, it's very strong. It's not paper, it's like laminated, it's tough. And it's got large writing on it, and we tried to meet the needs of those that might have issues with color blindness, etc. So that's really what should be handed. But even though we advertise Washington County, we can't obviously deeply go into Aroostook or Hancock because we're just not there. But it doesn't mean that I shouldn't have a key contact that's at ACAP, where if someone up there does reach out, I can just quickly connect with that person or some of those agencies that are right over the line and say, hey, this is the person you want to call. That takes nothing to do. And that would be helpful for us, is to find out who are those people. Who's the best person in ACAP for me to reach out to. I'd be glad to reach out to them. So anyway.
One
Whatever we can do.
One thing I was going to say about ACAP is that they received funding the same way SCEC did, and some other organizations across the state did. And I believe that ACAP used their funding, FCC funding, to hire a digital navigator. And so that might be, on the whole tech side of things, a good connection to have. If people in Aroostook reach out, then, oh, hey, yeah, this is exactly who you talk to, because some programs are limited to a county, and that's all there is to it. I mean, it's just unfortunate. You're 5 feet over the line, and sorry, you don't qualify.
Yeah.
So yeah, they ACAP received some funding for digital navigation as well.
Great.
Awesome. Now, Dante,
Great.
you're a busy man, so does anybody have anything else for Dante before we let him get 20 minutes of his day back? Awesome. Dante, I will be in touch with you. Unless you want to hang on, you're more than welcome to hang on. But
Yeah, I got
we're all in the same boat. I'll
Thank
be
you
in
guys for
touch
letting me
with you.
speak. Please reach out. Yeah, we'll be in touch, Elaine. It was nice to meet you.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
So
Thank
much.
you very
Thank you.
much.
Awesome. That was exciting. Thank you guys for pointing us in that direction. That's very exciting for all of our orgs. It just is. And but so we have about 20 minutes left. I wanted to update everyone with some happy news on the free devices. So both rounds of funding were approved. The first $30,000 was approved. And then very shortly thereafterwards, our second round of $30,000 for devices was also approved. I've been working on, along with NDEC, working on an end user agreement, which we can, you know what, in the interest of time, I'm just going to email it to everyone. And you guys can just take a look at it, see if anything jumps out at you. Just basically outlining, I'll share it with you really quickly since I pulled it up and might as well. So, hold on. There we go. Okay, so basically, all right, it's just over 2 pages long here, but the basic bottom line of it is that, that they understand here that'll be a tablet or a refurbished Windows laptop. And what kind of device they get will depend on what their digital skills goals are, or what their overall needs are. As we had discussed before in some of our previous meetings, if someone wants to go back to school, then a tablet isn't going to cut it. If someone wants to do telehealth and, chat with their grandkids or their whatever siblings in Alaska, a tablet would certainly do that. So that they get the appropriate device for their needs. As a coalition, we had decided that to receive a certificate of ownership for the device, they would need to take a free internet safety course that's provided through NDEC, where Marcy is. And the follow-up phone call or email conversation with SCEC staff, that'd be me, just to see how they're using the device. Are there any issues with the device? Blah, blah, blah. And that they need to be enrolled or enroll in the ACP unless they can be waived because maybe they are a tenant and the internet is provided with their rent, or maybe they have Starlink and Starlink doesn't qualify for ACP. They understand that if they do not complete those three rather simple things, because with the ACP, as a reminder, and for those of you who weren't at the last meeting or last couple of meetings, SCEC has a full-time ACP outreach coordinator, and that's what she does 40 hours a week is outreach and enroll people in the ACP so that they can have one-on-one assistance if they need it. And that after they complete those requirements, then they'll get a certificate of ownership. The end user agreement also states that until that time, that the device still belongs to SCEC and that they are only ones to use it. They're not to sell it, rent it, take it apart, and they'll do their best to take care of it. And then here, the last one is if there's a problem with the device within the first year, to reach out to NDEC. They return that device and then they can get a new one because obviously there must have been something wrong with the first one. So, and then they signed and that's that. So I'm going to email it to everybody, but that looked pretty straightforward to everyone. Until you own it, don't take it apart. Don't sell it. Don't. And so at any rate, we already have people expressing interest in this. So as a reminder, our first round of funding, based on what the coalition members had decided, it's going to be, they need to be low income, and we decided unanimously, I think, at 200% of the federal poverty guideline, and at least one other covered population. Rural doesn't count because we're all rural. So say a low income veteran, they qualify. Low income with a disability, they qualify. Then with the second round of funding, that is where partner organizations who are interested in participating will receive a $3,000 account, if you will, 3,000 on account, if you will, so that your organizations can spend that money in one of a variety of ways. One would be just to straight up identify covered populations, and we're bringing, if you remember correctly, we're bringing rural back into that mix, so that if it's a 22-year-old low income, qualify, but really trying to hit those target populations first. So then, say for example, Laura, I'm going to pick on Mano and Mano because I love to pick on you. I don't see you often enough. So for example, if Mano and Mano, any of you can decide to do the following. Mano and Mano may say, look, we want to take some of the money and have laptops available to the public right here in our offices for just public access so our community members can use it if they want or need to. And maybe or they can decide, nope, we're going to identify all community members who qualify. All those are going to get devices. We're not going to have any on-site, or you can do a hybrid of both. So for example, Mano and Mano might say, we're going to buy 5 laptops for our constituents to use on-site or loan. whichever you decide. And the balance we're going to use to provide free tablets or laptops to our constituents. And why we're doing it that way is, for example, Washington County Adult Ed, they will most likely use their funding to add more laptops to, they have a loaner program. They have like a laptop lending library, so that students come in and they do a loaner. So it can be anything like that. And that is separate from the $3,000 stipend that you get for your smiling faces once a month. So that's kind of the way that works. The application is very simple. I think most of you saw it. It's very, very simple, very low barrier. And that's where that's at. I can send that. Actually, we've got about 15 minutes. Let me see if I can't pull it up really fast. And the other thing, there you go. Hi. What happened there? Oh. Sorry guys, I should have been better prepared for that. And here we go. And then I can show you guys, because I think if we're good with all of this stuff, of course, I'll email it out for any last, there we go. Any last changes or questions or anything else before this becomes blah, 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 and then goes to my higher ups to put a seal of approval on. So for those of you who have seen this already, it really hasn't changed, maybe a word or two here or there, but your name, and are you willing to participate in the follow-up phone call, or whatever, you know, the little interview survey thing a month or two afterwards. Another reason for doing that follow-up phone call or interview survey, whatever it is you want to call it, is because sometimes people who are unfamiliar with technology, I think I broke my tablet because I can't get into my email. So I threw it on the bookcase and I haven't bothered with it since. Well, no. We can help fix that. Unless basically you ran over it with your truck, you haven't broken it. So where they want it shipped to, how many people in the household, total income for the household, and then remember it's 200% of federal poverty guidelines. And then here are the other covered populations that for round one, cohort one does not include rural. It will in round two. Do they have internet? Have you enrolled in the ACP? Are you willing to, and we have help? Or if you don't have to, here's who my ISP is. So are you willing to take the free class on internet safety? And okay, so here you'll be connected with NDEC so that you can receive the best device for your needs, and you'll own it. So at the end, they'll own it. So if it's damaged, lost, stolen, you'll not be eligible for another free device through the program. And then it's signed and date. And is that look good to everybody? Yeah, Christopher, yeah.
Yeah, look, so when we talk about internet safety,
Yep.
Do you think that concept is universally understood, what that means?
I could put something in there about how to stay safe online or keep your information safe online.
Yeah, for example, my mother's passed now, but you know, she was in her mid-80s. She was going into dementia. If I had gone to my mom and said, "Hey, Mom," now maybe the dementia thing makes it more difficult, but even people without that, if you're not a digital native person, and you know, and you don't live in that world, I don't think that's a concept that people know. So I think you probably need to have a little a little explanation, not to get scammed, kind of maybe just something that allows them to understand what it is that they're potentially signing up for.
Yep, okay, that's a great point. Yep, that is a great point. Laura, were you gonna jump in?
I was just saying, I think there's a description of what the course is on because it's through the Digital Equity Center, right? I think there's a description of
Okay.
what that might be helpful
Yep.
to talk,
Oh,
describes
great.
what it.
Great. And I need to, once that's all good to go, everyone, it's going to be translated into Spanish as well. So yeah, just waiting. I don't want to have to keep reinventing the wheel on that as I keep changing the English version. But yeah, so we can get that out. So once that stuff, it's a great point, Christopher, and thank you for both of you for that. I will certainly add that. And because you're right, we a lot of times use phrases and words that the people we're trying to reach don't necessarily understand even what we're talking about. So in fact, I was in a meeting today where I said workforce development is a phrase we use. The target populations may not use that. So because we are bumping up against 2 o'clock, so duly noted, and we'll make those changes. The other thing to be aware of is the MCA, Maine Connectivity Authority, has opened up interest for connectivity hubs in the regions. So if you can think, so basically what it would be is adding devices, and it's really quite a content. How do I even explain it? So it's a minimum grant of $250,000 up to, I think the max might be 1 million or 2 million. I don't remember off the top of my head right now, but to bring, so it would be like a computer lab of old, a connectivity hub where the public can come in and use devices, have access to the internet. It also must contain elements of education, workforce development, and telehealth. So if we're looking, trying to identify locations in Washington County, so if something comes immediately to mind, Laura, I know Mano and Mano was in that meeting yesterday to learn more about the Connectivity Hub program. And I know that the Greater East Grand Economic Council was as well. But if you guys happen to think of a location or a building, like, that'd be kind of a cool place to do that, just reach out and let me know, and give it a gander, see what goes. We can talk about it. So, all right, now I've left you all 5 minutes. Laura, why I pick on you? All right. Anything from anybody? Laura, back at you, Laura.
Thank you, Elaine, for coordinating all this.
Yeah. So I will be in touch. MOUs for year 2 will be coming out for that $3,000 stipend. And just as a reminder that there's probably going to be another MOU for the device stipend. So let me know if your organization has interest in participating in that $3,000 where your organization can choose who gets them. So, all right, and that's the one that brings rural back into it. So, but we got to get through round 1 first. So, awesome. So if you have interest in that, just let me know. Awesome. Thank you guys very, very much. Let me shut this off.
Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you all so very much, and I really appreciate you being here. So I will talk to you all soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.